Landlords are being duped by renters by using fake identities. It's not just potential renters being scammed, it's also landlords too. And this is what you guys need to know. Lease applicant identity fraud is significantly growing, warns a new report from CoreLogic, a real estate data firm. Many apartment property managers report some form of identity-related fraud that's costing them thousands of dollars in losses from renters. The two most common frauds landlords report are renter applicants using fraudulent identities or misrepresenting their intentions. The typical reasons applicants likely commit fraud are an attempt to live rent-free until evictions or to hide their true identities. Those who hide their true identities often have something in their history that makes renting a challenge, such as immigration status, criminal history, or poor credit, or a lack of job history. Many rental fraud applicants, except the ones desiring to live rent-free until eviction, pay their rent on time. They feel justified in committing fraud because they know that you wouldn't rent to them for good reason. If they knew the truth, the report notes, the fact that they pay rent on time, however, does not lessen the risk that they present. The report calls out 4 types of identity fraud. First one is first-person fraud, also called muling. It's where an applicant or a mule acts as another person in the renting the apartment using their identity and information. Another person, completely different from the one listed on the applicant, then moves in. That applicant may be a family member or a friend, or maybe a scam to rent out the apartment on their own and charge above market fees to the person living there. The second one is synthetic identity fraud or fictitious identity. A scammer creates a fake identity, likely one that's taken from multiple stolen sources, often from children, elderly, or deceased people, in order to use on a rental application. This is the fastest growing type of identity related fraud and accounts for about 85% of all identity fraud. The third one is third-party fraud. It's a person's identity is unknowingly stolen. Their social security number, their date of birth, other forms of identification may be used by another person to fraudulently apply for an apartment lease or in someone else's name.
The fourth one is identity manipulation fraud.
Yeah, it's where a scammer slightly alters some of their information in a way that may look like a typo or a spelling error. For example, a social security number may be off by just like one single digit. Slightly different name or altered birthday may be noted. The goal of identity manipulation fraud is to confuse the system so that the applicant or the application does get connected to the fraudster's true identity. All right, so Chris Noon.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever come across anything like this? Any frauds, any issues?
Yes, I definitely come across it with essentially, I guess I want to help like some friends out get rentals. Mm-hmm. They see a place and they send it over. I'm like, this looks like a great deal, and generally it is a fake deal because it's if it's too good to be true, it's gonna.
Dude, I've come across those plenty of times where like it's some random person saw a listing and they put it online and they're like, oh, we're renting it out. And if you ever go to one of these and they're like, oh, I'm out of town, you can't see it, but you can go look through the window. Yeah. Wire me the deposits and you can move in.
They give you it's the most common stories. It's a sob story. My father died. My wife died. I can't bear to look at the property. I just want to just rent it out. That's the sob story. If they're avoiding your questions, that's a rental scam. But these some of these that we just went over, like mulling, I've seen that before where it's a legitimate listing, they rent it out, but then they do what's called a sublease underneath it, and they don't actually live in it, the main applicant, someone else comes in, and they have their own fictitious lease, making them think that they're the actual, landlords or whatnot, and then they get paid like an extra $100, $200. And that I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't come across that yet, but I'm pretty sure like we're starting our property management company, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna run into that sometime in the future.
And even when it comes to just property management in general, there are lawsuits back and forth between tenants and landlords, tenants and landlords.
I'm not the only one who can't pronounce
Tenants. And it's becoming such a teeter-totter that I think this whole system might need to be revamped.
Oh man, that's difficult. Like, how do you revamp it? Yeah.
One way or another, you put up a roadblock, someone's gonna find a way to go around it. Yeah. And it's not gonna be the legal way. And that's what sucks about our society is that someone's always going to out to do harm to make a quick buck. So it's how to revamp it. I don't know. I still feel like property renting is still very new compared to property selling.
Well, I mean, like they've been renting properties out for thousands of years. So I mean, like, I don't know if that's the situation. I get what you're saying. Like, there needs to be some kind of reform in the system.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like I feel like it's the reason why all these lawsuits are popping up, especially in property management and when it comes to like renting out houses, is because of the Fair Housing Act.
Yeah.
And a lot of landlords, regardless of property managers, so yeah, they're using criminal history as a way to kind of weed out certain people. But the thing is,
and there's a lawsuit on that right now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, because there's a certain, what they like to call a certain class of people who have a lot more felonies. Now that can be construed as racial discrimination against certain groups. So like I get what you're saying, and I don't know what the actual reforms are going to be. But at the end of the day, like, just be smart.
Yeah.
You're renting out a property, you own it, or you're being either if you're a renter or a landlord. Just be smart. Like you said, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is.
And if you are a renter and you will be a renter from the day you die, know what state you're in and know which way the court favors. In the state of Florida, the court favors tenants. Hands down. It takes.
Most states do. Yeah.
In most states, I know Florida, hands down, is definitely in favor of the tenant. And right now, I think just the other day I read an article from FloridaRealtors.org saying that there's another a lawsuit or bill trying to be introduced that is trying to make it more in favor for the tenants. And I'm just like, it's already in favor. For a landlord, if you're watching this, you probably have already evicted somebody. That's a 6 month to a year or more process just to get rid of somebody, and they're not collecting rent.
If they fight it, if they contest, essentially what's called contesting the eviction. If they contest the eviction, then it will go on longer. But typically, if it's uncontested, Orange County, you're looking about 6 weeks eviction.
That's actually way better than I suspected.
Yeah. So like, but the thing is, that's if they don't contest it whatsoever.
Okay.
The moment they contest it, then it can drag out to 6 months. And you're talking about 6 months where they're not paying any rent. And even if they, you win, and here's the thing, even though it's in the favor of tenants, the vast majority of landlords win those because it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. You have a lease, make sure you have a good lease, and it says pay rent, and you haven't paid rent. And the only thing, and the reason why they contest it is because they'll sit there and be like, well, I had an issue with my AC or a mold issue, and you never came by and fixed it, so legally I'm allowed to stop paying you rent, which is not true.
That is not true.
What you have to do is complicated. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you legal advice, so please don't take this as legal advice whatsoever.
Read your lease.
But yeah, read your lease and read Florida law. If your landlord isn't doing what they need to do, you have to continue paying rent, but you can put it into a third-party escrow. You still got to pay it. You just can't sit there and be like, nah,
Put it into a third-party escrow. Do a civil claim, a small claims court to get your money back. Like, it's not hard. Just do it the right way. And if you don't know how to do it the right way, contact a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So what do you guys think? Have you ever come across any rental frauds as a landlord or as a renter? Go ahead and leave your comments down below. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.
See ya.
The fourth one is identity
manipulation.
Manipulation.
No, manipulation.
Manipulation.
Oh my lord. The fourth one is identity manipulation fraud.
Did you say that?